Thank you, Andrea, Minister Bebo, and MNP for your ongoing encouragement, enthusiasm, and support. I now want to talk a little bit about this conference theme, the challenge of change. If there's one thing we can count on, it's change. In a world full of increasing complexity and unpredictability, for many, change can be an unwelcome guest as we crave a sense of certainty and stability in our lives. What comes to mind when you think of the challenge of change? Does a knot form in your stomach? Do you get excited about the prospect of new opportunities? Change is all around us in farming, from weather to markets or transferring the farm. And while change can be difficult, it also provides significant opportunity if we're in the right frame of mind and positioned to take advantage of new prospects. Borrowing the wise words of John C. Maxwell, it's important to remember that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Our organization, Farm Management Canada, was created out of chaos. During the 1980s financial crisis, when interest rates soared and markets bottomed out, many farmers were left high and dry, and many farms were lost. It was at this time that industry and government turned to investing in building the business management acumen of farmers in Canada and created the Canadian Farm Business Management Council, which was our old name, known today as Farm Management Canada. Now, again, we find ourselves in an unprecedented time emerging from, or arguably in the midst of, the global pandemic, COVID-19. How has COVID challenged you in your business? And what new opportunities have been presented? Were you ready to take advantage of them? And I love this saying. Jimmy Dean once said, "I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination." And it makes me think of, to know the possibilities, you must first understand where you are. And that, in essence, is what we're talking about when we talk about farm business management or the business side of farming. Knowing where you are so you can know where you can go and how you can get there. So precisely, this is what we mean by farm business management. I highlighted the words analysis and choices and opportunities, but really looking at, what information do you have to go on to decide if something is a good opportunity or not, or if something is a risk or not, and how you're going to respond. And we tend to refer to this as strategic management. So the planned use of your resources to reach your goals and objectives, and being mindful of obstacles that can come up in the way. And then being able to, adjust your plans along the way, depending kind of on what's thrown at you, whether it's a risk or an obstacle, or whether it's an opportunity. So we're looking at taking a proactive approach to building the underlying capacity to weather any storm and seize every opportunity, positioning the farm for continued success. A lot of folks would call that building resilience. And it boils down to having accurate, reliable data to create a realistic picture of what's possible. So that's what I was talking about, the internal data, how are your people doing, the external data, what's happening in the industry, and then having a plan to guide you towards success, as well as reaching out and finding the necessary support to help you along the way. And now the current situation. So while farm inputs, values, and uncertainty continue to increase, farm business management continues to be undervalued, misunderstood, and not practiced by the majority of farmers. And I almost think of, maybe this is, coming out of or in the midst of a global pandemic. Maybe it's a chance to kind of give our heads a shake a little bit, much like we did following the 1980s, and say, whoa, if we made it through, congratulations, but, were we ready for that? And how can we prepare ourselves for what's down the road? And when we look at the current situation, we know, less than a quarter of producers have a formal business plan, formal as in writing. And that's, a fundamental tool for any business, and especially the farm where there's so much volatility and uncertainty. And when we ask farmers, we've done a lot of research in this area, when we ask farmers, why don't you have a business plan? And 41% of them, so almost half, say, well, we're succeeding without it. But it's interesting because, in our recent study connecting mental health and farm business management, we said, okay, how are your stress levels? How are you doing? And 77% of our respondents reported they were highly stressed by the unpredictability of the agricultural sector. And I don't even think I put it on here, but I probably should have. 88% of those producers who follow a written business plan tell us it contributed significantly to their peace of mind. So being able to sleep at night, feeling like they have an idea of where they want to go. They have an idea of what the industry has in store for them. They've looked at their best case, worst case, most likely scenarios, and they have a plan in place. So plan A, plan B, plan C for whatever happens. So really reducing that unpredictability that is the largest stressor to producers. We also find that, it doesn't matter if you're a hog farmer or a dairy farmer or a grains and oilseeds farmer. There's top and bottom producers across all the demographics, age, stage, farm size, geography, you name it. There's top and bottom performers. And what we find is the differential is attitudes attitudes towards farm business management. And of course, the practices being adopted. And that farmers who follow those tried and true business practices report increased profitability, confidence, peace of mind, and family and farm team harmony, which sounds like a pretty good thing. And it makes me wonder, how are there 41% of farmers defining success? They say they're succeeding without all these great tools. So my best management tool that I just, I shout from the rooftops is having a written business plan. And it's not so much, having this great big, chunk of paper or binder, or maybe you keep it on your computer. It's not, having it as like your manual to go back to, but it's the process of creating it, which is perhaps even more valuable. Of course, you want to use it for reference and evaluating how did we do against what we plan to do. But having that tool to facilitate important discussions about the future of the farm and everyone's role within it, as well as, a tool where everyone can kind of get behind and be like, oh, I see myself in the future of this farm now. It's not just mom or dad making decisions, but it's, bridging the gap between, well, we're going to go off and do these things because this is what we think is best for the farm. And then the next generation saying, well, what about me? And what about the long-term implications of the decisions you're making today? So, there's just such a value in opening up that conversation. And the business plan is a phenomenal tool to do that. And the good news is the business plan includes the risk assessment, includes transition planning. It's kind of your be all and end all to keep your farm and your family, healthy, wealthy, and happy for generations to come. And from your plan, you can assess your resources you have against the resources required to meet your current and future needs. So that might be, we need some help with skills development. We need some more access to capital. We need to implement some environmental practices. But you can also, especially as the farm manager, identify where you want to focus your energy and time and where you need others to support you. So, maybe you need to grow the team. Maybe you need to rearrange, who's doing what and what roles everyone's playing. Or maybe you need to reach out to outside advisors and coaches. And then again, as I said, you can, really look at, okay, if I've got my, cash flow in front of me, for example, what happens if I'm late on a payment? What happens if I can't get my product to market or fulfill a contract? Or, what happens if interest rates suddenly start to rise again? Or if, a market's cut off for me. So you can kind of look at those best and worst case scenarios and get a sense of what are my thresholds for when I need to make a decision and what is that decision. So, it's kind of like having that safety net. You've already built the ladder to get out of the windows and when you're going to need it. So you're good and you can concentrate on farming and doing what you love and not worrying your pants off. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. I love this. And that makes me think, especially, when we saw COVID coming, we thought, I mean, not that we saw it coming, but when we were in the midst of it, we thought, is this going to get things to change? Is this going to get the adoption of business practices to turn around? Are we going to see a resurgence of proactive planning, proactive risk management? My fingers are still crossed. And I hope that is what happens, because my question is, if not now, then when? I understand the 80s were a long time ago, and not every farmer of today probably remembers what that was like. And so, as those pretty awful times are further and further in kind of, the distant path, it's sometimes difficult to remember how crazy things can get and how hard things can get. But, with COVID, it's impacted everyone very intimately, I would have to say it. And I mean, I think it's everyone, right? Of course, agriculture is a sector, but of course, every individual in very, very different ways. And so, how can we take that challenge and figure out how can we, build our capacity to weather this storm a little better next time? So if not now, when? And so I wanted to bring attention to some of the business skills development, resources and opportunities for you. Of course, we've got many. You can check out the on-demand videos on the conference platform, or of course, go to our website. But I just wanted to highlight a few things right now for you. So we have our National Business Management Resource Center at takeanewapproach.ca. And so that includes, we have a whole bunch of publications on all different topics in business management. It includes our events as well as events of, others in the industry with a focus on business skills development. We also list our programs, but also some of our sister organization programs or partner programs as well. And then resources. So all of our archived webinars, there's tools, tutorials, there's the farm transition toolkit on there. There's Dick Whitman's Building an Effective Farm Management System guidebook, etc. So any cool stuff we find, we put it on this website. So I encourage you to check it out. And it's free to access. Another one of our major programs is Agrishield. So right now, you might have heard of our Roots to Success training and education workshops. So that's using Agrishield, which is a kind of state-of-the-art risk assessment and planning tool for farmers, designed for farmers. So you can take a comprehensive approach to managing risk, going through people and markets and finance and production, etc., and helping you identify, assess, and prioritize risks, and then, of course, create a plan. So you can check out a free trial at myagrishield.ca and also look for our Roots to Success training opportunities, some workshops to help you figure it out. And then the C-Team program. So this is offered by Agri-Food Management Excellence, and it's kind of like a mini MBA for producers. It takes place over 16 months. Right now, it's a hybrid learning environment, some in person and some online. But basically, Larry and Heather and the team take you through building a strategic business plan for your farm. So it's right up our alley. We love everything about it. So it's really great to kind of get all your management practices, kind of get it together and in the plan. And then a program that we've, I guess this will be our third year offering it, is the National Farm Leadership Program. So we've partnered with Kelly Dobson of Leadershift. We kind of just had this wild and crazy idea that, maybe the ag sector could use a little bit of help in terms of leadership development. And so the course includes 11 weeks of kind of asynchronous online learning, as well as kind of weekly class sessions with your cohort. And there's also a 3-day residency in Victoria, BC. So that's kind of a nice break, but we do work you hard. And then for the remainder of the calendar year, we have monthly individual and group coaching sessions and check-ins. So this is Tina Zakowski. She's actually just finishing up this year's program, and this is what she had to say about the program. what we're really looking at is taking a deep dive into, what are your reactive tendencies that tend to kind of rear their ugly heads when stress runs high and decision making becomes clouded, and how can we, train to show up how you want to show up when it really matters. So if you have a tendency to be a perfectionist, or if you have a tendency to kind of blow your lid when you get frustrated, we're helping train your brain so you can have a better reaction as a leader and empower your team to do the same. So we encourage you to apply for the program. The next cohort for 2022 starts January 24th. So yeah, feel free to visit leadership.ca and apply for the program. And I have to end with this little quote here. I love it. I think I've used it in every PowerPoint I've ever done. But just the thought around, what are those activities we can do that are going to have the most impact and the longest lasting impact. Certainly training and education comes to mind. Please join our next session where Dick Whitman will be talking farm leadership and transition. With over 40 years of experience running his own farm and providing advice for farm families, Dick will teach us how to get out of the way without going away. Please click through to the next session now. Thanks.